Hi, everybody, and welcome to another one of our Pong Prudent interview series. I'm Mark Thompson, joined, well, by a couple of all-time greats right here. We've got Lily Yip and her son, Adam Hugh. Lily and Adam, let me welcome you to our Pong Prudent interview series.
Thank you.
Both, well, thank you for coming out today. Both Lily and Adam are there at the Lily Yip Table Tennis Club in Dunellen, New Jersey. They were just taking me on a little tour of the facility as we went around. Beautiful facility there. And I'm very happy to see, Lily, that your operation is back up and going after the shelter in place due to the quarantine. It looks like you guys have it started again at Lily Yip Table Tennis Club.
Yes, we have a great support from the local mayor, Jason. I forgot his last name. So he said, where did it go? June 15th, you guys can go. As long as we find the CDC guideline, yeah.
Yeah, I know that you've made some changes, obviously, to make sure that you're complying with all of the regulations, governmental. You were telling me earlier that ordinarily at the club there in Dunellen, you have 24 tables, but right now, because of social distancing, you're keeping it at just 12 tables, and that seems to be working out well for you. And how has it gone so far?
Pretty good. The member, most of the member, they come in the evening. And so they're exciting. They're looking forward to come back, but they're still a little bit worried. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right in the hotbed area, I guess, if you want to say that. I mean, everybody here in America, I should say, you know, everybody was very concerned about what was happening in New York City. And, you know, obviously you're not that far in New Jersey from New York City. How has it gone there for you all with respect to the COVID-19 pandemic? And have you been able to kind of, you know, for the period where you've had to quarantine, to be able to stay healthy and to feel good?
Yeah, of course, stay healthy. We do some exercise, and some students, they have a table at home, so they do. I encourage them to practice at home. So Adam, my son, also have one club called HIT. So what do you do in your club? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've been, we're located up in Hoboken, New Jersey, so that's right across the river from Manhattan.
Right.
And the town has definitely been hit. It's 1.5 square miles. We have like 65,000 people, and all bunched up together. So unfortunately, our club has not been able to reopen just yet. Our mayor's definitely been on the forefront and being a little bit more cautious right now. But it's definitely hit us pretty hard. And in the meantime, we've just been like my mom, just kind of working on the facility, trying to set it up with these new guidelines, what the new norm is going to be, and just preparing for reopening whenever that may be.
Well, we wish you the best with that, Adam. Obviously, this facility here in Dunellen is one that's near and dear to your heart, Lily, and I'm sure to you, Adam, as well. This is a club, as I understand it, was started back in 2010 with the assistance of the entire family. It is truly a family affair in the Yip's organization, including your husband's mother-in-law, who was instrumental in actually getting this facility built back in 2010.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He passionate about the sport. And we said, okay, let's do it. Then we just see the good place and perfect for ping pong. So my husband and his family, my mother-in-law, they great support. They gave us an unconditional love and support. Then we got the place. So we have about 200 members. Everybody enjoy this place. Yeah.
Well,
Adam, right here. He only opened the club from last year from Hoboken. He used to coach our club too.
We want to make sure that we give your mother-in-law plenty of credit here. Her name is Elaine Joblins, and Elaine, obviously, she's about to turn 91. She's a very healthy 91 years old there. And as you were telling me, I think the other day, Lily, that if there were an over 90 category at either World Veterans or at the U.S. Nationals or whatever, I think Elaine is the person to keep an eye on. She'd be the top player in that category, I think. Yeah,
she still can win, but she used called sandpaper. Back to 40. And I think her practice partner, South Ship, Dick Miles, that's a former national champion, former I think world champion, those people. And Marty Wiesman, that's her practice partner. That's why she was good.
Well, you were telling me that Ben Dittel, your husband's father, and
Yes.
she, Elaine, were actually a mixed doubles champion at the U.S. Open some 70 years ago, for crying out loud. So that's a good place to meet your partner for life, is playing mixed doubles, I think.
That's why, because ping pong, I met Barry because ping pong bring our family together. So we always travel, especially when I play World Championship, Olympic. My husband follow me everywhere.
Well, he was smart.
Sometimes when I compete, I think I took my kids with me too.
Well,
and later on, Adam and Judy also play.
Yeah,
So,
Adam and Judy both had good careers as young players, and they're obviously very young right now. Judy, as I understand it, is serving as kind of the administrator there at the Lily Yip Table Tennis Club in Dunellen. So it's still a complete family affair with Adam up in Hoboken running HIT and Judy running the Lily Yip Club there in Dunellen. The family's still very much involved in table tennis.
Yeah, I try our best, continue my husband's legacy.
Well, you're doing a great job. And Lily, obviously, you've got quite a legacy of your own. You, as a player, you're a USATT Hall of Famer, two-time Olympian in 1992 and 96 for the United States of America. Of course, you started your career in China and played at the highest level, really, in China as a young person. As I understand it, even at age 12, I think you're the first person in China who was in elementary school playing pro table tennis there in China, which certainly says a lot about the quality of your play.
Yes, I represent Guangdong province. I was number one player in my province. I also on a Chinese national youth team for a little while. And we built up this great foundation, but after immigrant to US gave me opportunity, then it's a great honor to represent United States.
Well, so, you did come over to the United States. I think it was like in the late 80s, in 1987.
1987,
and you made a really quick impact in the table tennis world. I think you're in Florida at that time, but throughout, certainly on the East Coast, and were able to, at the U.S. Nationals, I think that there were a lot of really good women players at that era playing in the U.S. Nationals. So you had some really interesting rivalries there with like Gao Jun and others that
she was the national champion in my time. She's a last good player. Former professional player from all around the world.
But you were able to make the Olympic team twice, in 1992 and 1996. And you've got to, to come over from China to become an American citizen, to represent our country in the Olympics, including the Olympics at Atlanta, had to be a really great feeling for you.
Of course, yeah, that's a great honor. I have to work hard because my son was born in 88, my daughter was born 89. So as a two children's mom, I have to manage my time to train and work and support the family. So it kind of makes me very busy.
Well, if my math is right there, Adam, that would have made you about 8 years old at the 96 Olympics in Atlanta. That's probably old enough to remember having some really good feelings about your mom being part of the U.S. Olympic team. What was your experience like there?
Yeah, I mean, I remember trying to look on TV to see if I could find her at the opening ceremony.
The opening ceremony, yeah. Were you able to? Did you actually see her?
I don't remember. I don't think I was able to. I'm sure I saw her, but not specifically her. I mean, they showed obviously, the entire stadium, but I definitely kept my eyes peeled for it, and it was very cool to know that. I mean, I was a little bit young to truly appreciate it. Yeah. But even still, knowing the Olympic Games was such a big deal, and knowing my mom was representing the U.S., it was definitely cool to be able to say, hey, my mom's on TV, let me see if I can find her.
Well, Adam, it's interesting because just looking through some of the notes that although you were a player, certainly as a young person, you also showed a very early desire to be an umpire. I think you're one of the youngest persons ever in USATT history to become an umpire. I think you were like 10 years old at that time. So you've had quite a run in table tennis. Are you still acting in an officiating capacity? Are you still umpiring and otherwise?
No, not any official capacity. But it was funny because when I first started playing, I got to, I very much like to, mimic and imitate, the people that I saw. So good players, I try to, imitate their strokes and their motions, and even when it came to officiating, kind of, watch and see what they would do. And that's actually how I got into umpiring. Someone, I was sitting on the side officiating a match just for the heck of it, between my stepfather and a friend of his. And I was just sitting on the side, and one of the local officiants, I guess he's a referee, he saw me and he's like, hey, if you're really into it, we can go through the test and the process and you could be an umpire. And that's sort of what happened. And my parents were actually supportive of that because they said, what better way to learn the sport and learn all the rules than to actually
be put right on the spot with people yelling at you. There's no better way to learn than that.
Yeah, so that actually helped me a lot. Growing up and knowing the rules of the sport definitely helped, and just kind of being involved in all different kinds of capacities.
Yeah, Adam pretty smart. I think he started playing before 10 years old, around that age. Yeah. After 4 years, when he was 14, he already beating me. I think we did the training him.
Right there, Lily, because I think you and I have hit it back and forth a couple of times, and I think you say that I've got more of a tennis stroke than I do a table tennis stroke. So I've got to work on my game, and you're a good person to learn from. You were inducted into the USATT Hall of Fame, Lily, in 2004, but really there's been a lot that's occurred in your life and in your career since that time. You've been heavily involved in USATT in a number of capacities. You're on the board of directors. You've done other things as well. I've always seen you as to be a leader in the table tennis community in America, and I don't see you slowing down either at all. Right now, you tell me you just came from a coaching session there at your club in Dunellen, so I don't see you slowing down at all anytime soon.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy the sport. Yeah, keep myself busy. And
you got a
world championship last year, WWC, I think, in Florida, in China. Yeah, I number one over 50 still.
Hey, you know what? That's great. I think that the last U.S. Open I saw you at, I think you were playing in the over 30s. And had a great success. That you're still competing with the young people out there, which says a lot for the quality of your play as well.
Yeah, Frank, I enjoy it. I compete with Adam too last month, and when nobody at the club, I played game with Adam in his club. I lost to him though.
Oh, you lost to Adam. Well, no dinner for you tonight, Adam. You're going to have to get your own dinner at that point. It is one of those things that table tennis is a sport, which one of the great elements of it is you can play it for life. I mean, you talk about your mother-in-law, who is 91 years old, still playing the sport. And I think that one of the elements that really does stand out about the sport is that you grow with it. The fact that it is a family sport, that it is sport that is handed down from generation to generation, and that the younger generation can play with the older generation all the way through each of those persons' life is something special about table tennis.
Yeah, it's fun to see all the senior people. They lost to the young kids. They got mad.
Well, I think Gordon Kay used to tell me that there's never been a player on the junior national team that hasn't beaten him. And his biggest concern is when he's playing somebody who can't see over the table and they still beat him. So that's something to consider.
Yeah.
And Lily, you are coaching right now, and obviously a person with your skill set, with your history, with your legacy, you've got a lot to add to the young players. You look at the players coming up in America today. What do you see that if America does want to continue to compete at the highest level of table tennis in the international platform, what is it that USA Table Tennis needs to do to get our young players in a position to compete at that level?
Of course, have to play with the best people from all around the world. Lots of former champion, former professional player, they come to the United States. So learn from all the best and work hard. And of course, if you have an opportunity, you go overseas and you go to the best table tennis country, like not only China, Japan, and Korea, and travel to Europe to learn from the best. Yes.
And Adam, obviously you're coaching as well, and I can't wait for your club up in Hoboken to open up. I know you can't either. You look at the young kids coming up. and Lily, you could speak to this as well, is that I've spoken to a lot of the Chinese coaches or persons who were born in China and now have come to the United States. They're coaching in the United States, and they always kind of highlight a little bit of a difference of the attitude of the young players in America versus China. And in China, it sounds like, at least in years past, that the coach was very much about directing you what to do, and if you didn't do it, you were not in a good position. You were going to actually have to pay a significant price. Here in America, the young players are probably a little bit different. You've got to kind of make them really want to come to the club. Making it fun is very much a part of it. At some point, you're going to have to train. You're going to have to do physical fitness. You're going to have to, compete. But it does seem like in America, to make sure that kids enjoy the game, that the coaching has to include an element of having fun. You don't agree with that?
Young kids, including like Michael Lander, even though Adam, when they love the game, they're willing to work hard, willing to become the best. They work hard, and they of course you have to do physical training, mentally have to be sharp, and besides the hard training, I think from your heart, if you love it, then you will work hard. Then
Adam, what's your experience been like there at up in Hoboken with respect to the young players? What approach do you take when you're coaching them?
Yeah, so it really kind of depends on what people are trying to get out of the sport. Whether it's up in Hoboken or even here down at Denellen when I've done coaching, it comes down to their motivation, right? Like in China, a lot of the kids that are playing there, they either don't have much of another option, so they're training and they're playing for a salary to support their family, and it's literally their livelihood. So they don't need more motivation to be trying their hardest out there and competing for, literally to put food on their table. Over here in the States, unless you are one of the top people that are motivating yourself, you see a lot of kids that are being pushed because their parents want them to do it. And, you probably can imagine how well that works out if you're trying to live someone else's dream. So, in that regard, when they're kind of being pushed by someone else, it does help to make it a little bit more fun, a little bit more interesting, to kind of keep them engaged. And, it doesn't take too long, in my opinion, to, if the kids are interested in it, or even if they're not interested to begin with, to get a lot of interest in it. Table tennis is a phenomenal sport. It's got so many different elements to it. You can find a lot of fun in it. It's athletic, it's mentally stimulating, physically stimulating, and just there's so much there that pretty much any kid out there, if you can find the right trigger, you can get them into it. But I think that's the main difference from you're trying to compare kids in China that are training versus kids that are training here. It's just who's pushing them to be to do the sport. Now the best ones out there, the elite athletes, the ones that make the national team, the ones that make it out to the Olympics, the Canucks, the Landers, those guys, and that's because they want it themselves, and they're their hardest critic, they're their hardest motivator, and it doesn't really, having someone else push them doesn't really matter. They want it for themselves, and at the end of the day, whatever sport you're doing, whatever discipline that you're trying to be good at or become elite at, the ones that make it to the top are the ones that want it themselves.
Those are all really good points. I know that everybody is hopeful throughout the United States, certainly in New Jersey, to get things up and running again. Looking at the Denellen facility there, Lily, what type of phases do you anticipate going on here? Do you expect to be able to get back to 24 tables at your facility at some time in the future here?
Oh, maybe it takes years. I think we have to be careful. We're still, you don't know the virus. It's not before the vaccine come out. I think everybody have to be careful. Just follow the guideline. Make sure every clean and safe. Slowly we can open back. Yeah.
Those are all really good points. Obviously, that's consistent with the entire Pong prudent idea that the USATT is pushing, is that if the governmental authorities have authorized opening up the facility, do so in a prudent way, do it safely. And it sounds like you guys are doing a real good job of that at the Lily Yip Table Tennis Center there in Dunellen. I want to make sure, though, before we close out, though, that we also give one more shout out to your mother-in-law. I know she's going to turn 91 in September. Elaine Joblins, who is a U.S. Open mixed doubles champion with her husband back in the day. I know that she was a very important part of getting this facility open, as well as your husband. I know this has been a very important element for your family, and you all are continuing to build her legacy, your own legacy with this facility. And I want to thank all of you, the entire family, for what you do for table tennis.
Thank you. Enjoy it.
Well, Lily Yip and Adam Hugh, I want to thank you again for being a part of the Pong Prudent interview series. I want to wish you guys the best. If there's anything you need from USATT, you can always ask us. Have a great day there in New Jersey, and be safe.
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Too.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.